One is Enough by Flora Wapa, Chapter 10. Mother, when will the doctor open the door for Auntie Amaka's baby to come out? That was Ayo's youngest child, who was excited like everyone else around Amaka. Ayo was greatly amused. I don't know that the doctor will have to open the door to let the baby out, she said to her 3-year-old son. So Funke told me yesterday. She said that the doctor will have to open the belly and let the baby out. Funke said her mother told her. Did she? Ayo said absent-mindedly. She was not very happy with her permanent secretary boyfriend of late, whose 4 children she was looking after. It was not his attention that she cared for, it was the money to take care of the children. He hadn't kept his promise, and he had explained to Ayo that things were rather tight and that the political climate of the country was not what it used to be. But Ayo refused to understand and spent money so recklessly that her boyfriend had to use threats and actually curtail her allowance. And there was her son telling her what Funke had said. Funke's mother had some relationship with her boyfriend's wife, and it was through her that her boyfriend got to know how she lived. She hated Funke's mother, but there was nothing she could do. She could not leave her home because Funke's mother was her neighbor, and she could not stop her own children from playing with her avowed enemy, so she lived with the problem. But she refused to change her lifestyle, which she said was first and foremost encouraged by her boyfriend. It was not easy to begin now to economize. That was a word that was not in her dictionary. What else did Funke tell you? She asked her son. Oh, that Auntie Amaka was too old to have a baby, and oh mother, I have forgotten what she said. Let's go and see Auntie Amaka today. I want to see her big mama as well. There was no one in when they arrived at Amaka's home, not even the nanny. So Ayo drove straight to the hospital and also bumped into her mother. Ayo, thanks be to God. Amaka has done it. 2 boys, 2 healthy boys. Thanks be to God. That doctor was good. But why? Why didn't we see you yesterday? Ayo did not hear. She went straight to Amaka, who had of course not regained consciousness after the operation. The nurses would not let her see the twins. Twins, 2 boys. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. Amaka has had twins, identical twins. God is merciful. God works in a mysterious way, His wonders to perform. Can I see them, nurse? I want to see them. My sister's twins, please, nurse. Ayo begged. So the nurse took her to see the babies. There her mother joined her, and they thanked God again and again. My enemies are confounded, Amaka's mother said. I know it. I believed it. I believed that my daughter was not barren. I prayed and hoped. I begged our ancestors and they heard me. God, I thank you with all my heart. They drove home and Ayo prepared some pepper soup. Nani was asked to remain in the hospital so that when Amaka regained consciousness, it would not be altogether too strange for her. For Amaka had had no labor pains at all, and she was overdue. When the doctor came to see her, she discovered that her blood pressure had risen so high that she took her in her own car to the hospital, and within an hour did a perfect cesarean operation. She was an experienced gynecologist and did not take chances. She was a mother of 4 herself, and all 4 babies were delivered by operations. She was the right doctor for Amaka, and she really took care of her. She left as soon as she saw that everything was well and came back when she thought Amaka would regain consciousness. She sat by her bed and called her name. She opened her eyes and was dazed. Then it appeared she remembered where she was and looked inquiringly at the doctor, who took her hand and said, Congratulations! You have done it. Twins, 2 boys. Amaka looked at the doctor in utter confusion. Yes, you have done it. 2 lovely boys, the doctor said, still holding her hand. Amaka closed her eyes, then opened them again. She saw the doctor all right. By this time, the dutiful nanny had come in, and Amaka saw her as well. So she was not dreaming. She called Nanny to make sure that she was the one. She looked at the good doctor. She was not an emotional woman. She still felt the pain of the operation. She noticed that she was breathing fast. She took hold of the doctor's hand and placed it on her chest. "I feel some emptiness," she said. "You will be all right," the doctor said, and rang the bell, and a nurse came in. "Bring the twins for her to see," she said. "As far as she is concerned, we are talking in riddles." Amaka beckoned to the nanny. She came, but she said nothing to her. She held her hand. Then 2 nurses brought in the twins. "They are mine, doctor. The twins are mine. Are you sure? Are they human? Are they all right? My, are you sure? Are you?" "Leave her to sleep. I shall come again. The joy is too much for her. She will be all right," the doctor told the nurses. "Can you believe it?" she went on, "that this woman was declared barren many years ago? No, I didn't treat her. She had given up, resigned herself to her fate, and then became pregnant. She did not even know she was pregnant, not having had the experience before, until we did the urine test and she registered at the hospital. Take care of her. I shall come again to see her. Phone if there is any development." But everything went well with Amaka. She remained in the hospital for 10 days and went home. There was jubilation. Her mother forgot her business in Onitsha and stayed on, summoning all her children to come and see Amaka and her twin boys. Adobe was beside herself with joy and happiness. Mike was not hostile anymore. Human lives were now involved. They were there in flesh and blood. Nobody talked of their illegitimacy. And of course, Adobe made it clear to Mike that she was not to hear any more nonsense from him. So Mike was careful in conversations about Amaka and her twins. As soon as Amaka felt strong, her mother took her and the twins home. Ayo was the only one of her children who was free to go with her. They all went by plane to Benin and by road to Onitsha. The purpose of the trip was, of course, to announce the twins, to show off to home people, and to make a big feast, inviting everybody in the village. A cow was slaughtered, and those invited and those not invited came and ate and made merry. Food was abundant. When one entertained home people, one must have too much food. People would eat and throw away food. If no food was thrown away, then the host or hostess did not cook enough. Greedy ones had a feast day. They had as many helping as they cared to have. Amaka's mother saw to that. She, with the women she had picked, did the cooking and organized the crowd. As a result, nobody grumbled. Those who came purposely to find faults went away disappointed. But of course, they had something to say when they got to their homes. "Oh, we saw the twins all right. Are you sure they were hers?" one incredulous woman asked. "There is no end to what Amaka and her mother could do," another said. "If the twins are not hers, who are they? She did not pick them up from the streets of Lagos. She did not steal them either. Didn't you see Amaka and how she looked? You are a mother. Didn't you see that she looked like one who was nursing babies?" It's the mystery of the father that baffles everyone, including Amaka's own people. Whoever the father was should have graced the occasion, whether he is a married man or not. For I heard it whispered that the father could not come because he is married and in the civil service. That story is not true. They are confusing Ayo with Amaka. But that family is quite something. They beat everyone. Mama Amaka must be a happy woman having such wonderful and lucky children. All her children have made it. Amaka, whom everyone thought was going to end up childless and husbandless, now has children, 2 boys at a go. They are lucky. In the olden days, she would not have set eyes on the twins. They would have been killed and the gods and goddesses of the land appeased. That was over 70 years ago. No, 10 years ago. Some people still threw away twins. 10 years ago? Of course, as a matter of fact, I was told by my aunt, who was a nursing sister with the mission, that in some parts of Enugu area, that pregnant mothers, for fear of having twins, went to the bush to have their babies all by themselves. If they had twins, they took one and did away with the other. The mission knew about this, and so the converts in the area kept watch. Whenever there was a hint, they saved the twins, and as a result, the local people were antagonistic to the mission. She knew of a particular case in which twins were saved and were adopted by a priest. People talked and talked, but what intrigued many most was the attitude of Amaka's mother-in-law, who was present and claimed that the twins belonged to her son. She unashamedly said to everyone, she ate all that was served and drank a bit too much. It was rather embarrassing for Amaka and Ayo particularly, but their mother was equal to the task. Leave her alone, let her talk. You are not the only ones hearing her. Make sure you serve her all that she asks for and even more. Her son knows better than she does, so take no notice of what she says. Do you see her son here? He is in town, but you will not find him here. Obiora was indeed not there. He was most unhappy about his break with his wife, which was of course caused by his mother. There was nothing he could do other than make up with the woman who bore him 2 sons. The woman did not know her right from her left, and what was worse, did not acknowledge the fact. She behaved atrociously and embarrassed Obiora, but he could do nothing about her. He had taken his problem philosophically. He was getting on, and if he dared cause anything that would disrupt the relationship, he would be in the soup. He would have no family at all, and he would be a laughingstock in the presence of his friends, age grade, and colleagues. So he stuck to this woman, whom he refused to marry conventionally. Obiora had thought of seeing Amaka before she went back to Lagos, at least for old time's sake, but he was shy by nature and so found it rather difficult to go. Amaka, on the other hand, wanted to see her ex-husband to see whether he had aged as they told her, and of course to show off her newfound wealth, which she exhibited according to the dictates of the time. Amaka wore no abada materials anymore, but lace and George, even in the kitchen. She wore nothing but gold and coral beads, and she always had everything to match, no matter whether she was at home or at her site or at church. But what really impressed people was that she gave generously, and so relatives and friends poured in and she gave them money, raw cash. The people wondered, did she have a mint? Did she break into a bank? Was her husband, or rather the father of her twins, a top army officer, or even the general himself? They speculated, they gossiped, yet they came to her, told her their problems, and she gave them money. Her mother was happy that she could afford the money to give to both her friends and even her enemies. "You are making sacrifices, my daughter," she said to her. "I hear all the gossip. Those who say nasty things about you are the very people who come to you with their monetary problems. So I say, help wherever you can, and God will reward you 100-fold. Their people believe that once God gave you wealth, that you must share it with your relatives, and in fact, the whole village. The whole village had a right to your wealth because anybody among them could have had that wealth instead of you. Therefore, you must give generously, and you were severely criticized if you did not. If suddenly you lost all your fortune out of stupidity or neglect or a wrong economic decision, nobody rallied round to commiserate with you. All and sundry gave unfavorable reasons for your misfortune and laughed at you behind your back. Amaka's mother told her that she was a lucky woman. The kind of wealth she had was not bestowed on women at all, but men. Those women who made great fortunes in their village when Amaka's mother was only a girl were childless. Wealth came first and blocked the chances of having children. According to their belief, the two did not go together. You either had children or you had wealth. Her own daughter had disproved this belief. She now had two lovely sons and wealth. What could be better than that? She was very proud of her daughter, and rightly so. Who wouldn't be? So Amaka continued to give until she was ready to go back to Lagos. She was already starting a building of her own in her village and had given her mother the necessary funds for it. For she knew that when she came home again, she had to stay in her own house and not depend entirely on her mother for accommodation. Again, she thought of seeing Obiora. Surely she still felt something for the man who had been her husband for more than 6 years. She was in a position of strength now, with money and children, so she should be magnanimous and make the first move. She told her mother, who did not see why she should, but raised no objection. Ayo did not like the idea at all. They are all the same, Amaka, these men. Tell me why you want to see him. A man who virtually drove you out of your home because you did not have a child for him. And besides, you have divorced him both in our native law and custom and in the law courts. Again, there is one thing you have not given a thought to yet, and that is the father of your boys. You have not told us anything about him. Mother and I do not know who this lucky man is, and we have been waiting for you to tell us. Just speak for yourself, Amaka's mother cut in. Whoever is the father of the twins is a man. Why do you want to know who he is now? Amaka will tell us if she wants to, but we are not to bring it up at all. Amaka is a woman, she is a mother, and that's all that matters right now. I don't want to know what our people are saying about the father of the twins. My daughter is a mother, and if Amaka wants to see Obiora again, by all means, let her see him. What do you think, Ayo? I thought you were like me. Do you think Amaka would ever go back to that miserable husband of hers again after the divorce? No, she won't. She is curious, that's all, and I can understand her curiosity. You have done perfectly well without a husband these long years, and you still depend, so to say, on the father of your children. Amaka has made it, and without a husband, she will pull through. Do you think she's going to get on well, do her business well, if she has to look after a husband? Oh no, she can't. She would either have a husband or her business. She could not have both. The demands of her husband would be too much and she would be unable to cope. What do you children think was the reason why our prosperous mother went out of their way to marry wives for their husbands? They were wise. They did not want to sacrifice their trade or economic life by waiting on husbands and ministering to their every need. So, our mothers got young wives who did these soul-destroying chores for their husbands while they themselves concentrated on their trade. Your sister, Ayo, has passed the stage. She's learning to be like you. She's discovering what it is to be independent. She's discovering what it is to have wealth. She wouldn't sacrifice that for any man, even if he were a top army officer or a millionaire. It was after these arguments that Amaka's mother asked Obiora to come and see Amaka and her twins. Obiora came, bringing his own boys. It was not a bad meeting. Obiora had aged a good deal and was not the handsome man Amaka had known. People changed so much. It was only 3 years ago that she left Obiora, and a lot had happened in those 3 years. It surprised both of them that they had nothing to say to each other after the first pleasantries. Amaka was not even sure what had motivated her desire to see her ex-husband. Obiora felt so inadequate to talk to her. Amaka's world was everywhere for him to see, and it embarrassed him. But Amaka's mother was there to save the situation. She talked of nothing in particular, but she went on yapping. How nice it was to see Obiora in her house. Why was he unable to come to the party thrown by Amaka when his mother came and thoroughly enjoyed herself? Why did he not come to see them with his wife? Then she commented on his healthy-looking sons, adding that their mother must be a wonderful mother. Amaka said nothing. She was thoughtful as her mother went on and on without stopping. Was this man the husband with whom she had lived for 6 years? She felt nothing for him anymore. He could drop dead now. She would be sorry, but that was all. Was this the man she begged to let her be his wife, even if he wanted to marry 20 wives? Was this the man she loved so much and married? Why did she feel nothing towards him anymore? Was it time? Was it Izu, the father of her twins? Was it her new position of wealth? The life she lived in Lagos? The discovery that she, rejected by her own husband, was attractive to other men in Lagos who were in positions of wealth and influence? She did not regret anything. Surely, God's time was the best. The day broke for different people at different times, according to the saying of our people. For her day broke 3 years ago, 3 short years in which God gave her wealth and children, and a man to love and to cherish. She hadn't told the priest about the birth of the twins. He had asked her not to send word about the birth or anything concerning them both. Ayo was right to bring up the question. At least her mother and Ayo should know who the father of her twins was. How was she going to break the news to them? How were they going to take it that a priest was the father of her children? Her mother was not a professed Christian, but Amaka felt that she was going to be shocked all the same. She was not sure about Ayo, but she was sure about how her other sisters and brothers would feel. Then, of course, there were the village people. It would be the talk of the village for a long time to come. What would Adobe think? She was understanding, but she was sure she would die of embarrassment. She refused to think of Adobe's husband and his reaction when they learnt the truth. It was then that she began to think of Izu and his next line of action. Of course, she was sure that he was not going to claim the twins. In that case, she would bring them up playing the role of father and mother. This role excited her. There would be no one to dictate to her, to tell her what she should do and what she should not do. She would bring up her children well. She would not pet them. She would love them and minister to their every need. It did not occur to her that perhaps Izu might make some demands of her. Was it the excitement of the past 3 months or what? Did she really feel anything for Izu? She was not sure. She knew for sure that she had not missed him even before the babies were born. What was wrong with her? Was she not capable of loving anyone anymore? Was she so mercenary that nothing mattered except Naira and Kobo? What happened to her these 3 years in Lagos? She loved her twins. She loved her mother, her sisters and brothers. She felt nothing for the Alhaji, for the others who came after him. And right now, she was searching herself to see whether she felt anything for Izu, the father of her twins, the man who proved to the world that she was capable of bearing children. She was grateful to him, grateful for the contract that she got through him, grateful for the love he showed for her, for the care. But did she love him? If she had loved him, she would not have had these thoughts. She did not love him. That was what it boiled down to. And she did not even want to love anybody except her twins and her relations. In that way, she reasoned one avoided being hurt. She did not realize how hurt she was until her eyes were opened in Lagos and she began to see what she could do as a woman, using her bottom power, as they say in Nigeria. How was she going to face Izu if and when he came back? Could he have run away? From her? No, that thought was rather unkind of her. She knew that Izu was genuine. She knew and understood why he had to leave Lagos for Dublin. What she did not know was what Izu's reaction would be when he came back from Dublin and saw the twins.